welcome this afternoon to our webinar on is this a good time to start a business in healthcare? Patrick and I had a great time putting these slides together. We've got some great quotes to share with you. We've got some great current event information, news to share with you about what other people are doing about starting a business right in the middle of a pandemic, and what some might even think is somewhat of a recession, or the beginnings of a recession. So you never know what where people are thinking. But folks, you're going to find out today that many large companies, small companies, very successful companies have actually begun in what you would think of as somewhat of a crisis. Why would anybody even start thinking about having a business started in the middle of all of anything that might be going on that seems a little unstable? But sometimes you find the greatest opportunities in where things are not so stable. Again, my name's Eric Auger. Again, I'll be one of your co-hosts this afternoon. I'll introduce you to Patrick Phillips here in just a moment. But the things that we're going to be talking to you about is all the different solutions that we do have here at American Business Systems. We've added some. We haven't really taken away anything, but we've actually increased all of the different services that we have here at American Business Systems. And the lady that you see to your left on the screen is really the one that actually started this whole thing off, which is in medical billing sometime back in 1994. And Patrick can kind of share the story about Linda and how she got started in medical billing. But Patrick found a little niche there of teaching other people how to go out there and market and do medical billing for doctors, and finding out that now it's turned into the nation's largest network of certified medical billers. Patrick has been a great author. He has written several books, writing some more books. We'll talk about some of these books as we go through it. He is also a member of the editorial board of the Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. And he is also a part of and one of the founders of the Medical Revenue Management Association of America, and that's MERMA.org. You can go see them out there. So Patrick, it's good to see you this afternoon. There you go. Good afternoon.
Hey, Eric, good to see you. All right, we got a good crowd here of people coming in, still pouring in the room here. Thank everybody for attending. Folks, if you're here to learn about starting your own business, you're in the right place. We have a business that is just booming right now for the people who've gotten involved with us over the past 26 years. And it's because it's in healthcare. And as far as I know, everybody gets sick and will continue getting sick. Humans are always going to get sick. And when they do, they have to go to a doctor. They have to pay the doctor, or Medicare or insurance pays for it. And somebody has to bill somebody for that doctor to get paid. And that's where you come in.
Well, Patrick, this is a picture I think you just took yesterday, I believe.
Well, you can tell from my hair there, that was a long time ago. In fact, that was actually taken, Eric, back in the early days when my wife started doing medical billing, working out of her home, our home here in Fort Worth, Texas. That's my son, Adam, who's now the president of the company, and my daughter, Sarah, there. So, you know, it was a family business from the very beginning, and a great start because basically you started doing billing for one medical provider, and then it just grew from there. And it grew so fast that I thought, you know, there's probably a way to teach other people how to duplicate our success, because we were making pretty good money working out of our home. Our relatives thought we were selling drugs out the back door or something, I guess.
Oh man, yeah. You know, when you come from poor backgrounds and you start making money, people are going, what are they doing back over there? So
yeah, exactly.
Well, Patrick, I thought we would kind of kick this door open this afternoon by asking the question, why would anybody even want to start a business in the middle of a crisis? Now, whether it's medical billing or open up a sandwich shop, you know, why would anybody want to even start opening up a business at all?
You know, we did a little research on this, folks. I think you're going to be surprised how many people have written articles here in the last, 3 or 4 months when this whole crisis began on some of the advantages of starting a business.
And one of the articles you're talking about is from Tim Chin. He's the CEO of, everybody may know who, you may not know him, but you know who Nerd Wallet is. I mean, you probably see those commercials all the time. But yeah, he started one right in the middle of a crisis, you know.
Yeah, he says there's a silver lining here. He says he believes that there's opportunity for the next generation of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And he says now is the best time ever to build a company. Now, Eric, we're going to see in detail from some of these other quotes and articles and other experts as to why that is. But folks, let that sink in for a moment. This is the best time ever to build a company, and for it to be in healthcare. Well, it just doesn't get any better than that, because healthcare is going to be around for a long, long time.
Right. So one of the ones that we're going to talk about right here is another article that just came out June the 23rd. So just very recently. Is a pandemic the right time to start a business? And it just might be. I mean, Patrick, you found this one and added this slide in there.
A lot of small businesses, it says, were shutting down, of course, and that's true of restaurants and movie theaters and bars and all kind of. Some of them are opening back up, but the point is that a lot of businesses shut down. This talks about a lady who was about to open one up, and it's continuing. She says new businesses are forming despite the pandemic, though at a significantly slower rate than before. But get this, Eric. This is not slow as far as I'm concerned. There have been more than 500,000 applications for an EIN, a number
Right.
you get from the IRS when you start your own business, an EIN number. Since mid-March, 500,000 new applications. So between mid-March and mid-April, it says they handled more than 1 billion in sales. This is Stripe, the credit card company, processing firm. More than 1 billion in sales for businesses that started on the platform during that time. So folks, again, let that settle in to your consciousness there, that there's companies that were started in mid-March and mid-April, right there at the beginning of this whole thing, that have done $1 billion in business. And in the past, during the other turndowns we've had here, some famous American companies have started during that time. You've probably heard of Airbnb, Disney, General Motors, Hewlett Packard, Microsoft, Slack, Uber, and Venmo. Those are just to name a few, folks. So there are companies that start in times of recession. Like this one says that during the 2008 recession, David Brown started the company called Techstar. And he said, I probably wouldn't want to be in a business right now that caters to business travelers, but I'd love to be in a business that helps enable telemedicine. Eric,
right.
That's what he said in this article. Now, he's not associated with us at all. And folks, of course, as you'll see, we're right smack dab in the middle of that telemedicine stuff.
You bet. Yeah, we're going to get to that because, the next thing we want to do are, what are the business trends in the middle of a crisis? And we've already kind of alluded to that a little bit about telehealth, telemedicine. Some of you may have known about that. Some of you may have never known about telehealth or telemedicine before the coronavirus, and now it's kind of all over the marketplace. But outside of that, because we want to reserve that telehealth discussion for a little bit later, but still, Patrick, people that are born in the 1960s are starting to turn a little older now and become what we know as the baby boomers.
I'm in there.
Yep.
Yeah, anybody born between 1946 and 1964. So folks, talk about riding the wave and getting a business started. It's all about timing, right? Timing is everything in starting a business. Well, think of all the things that have to do with baby boomers. And one of the things is that as they get older, they go to the doctor more, right?
Correct.
Hearts stop working. You found that, haven't you, Eric?
Yeah.
Hearts stop working. And
as
they do, and we go to the doctor, we find out that we go to the doctor more. That means more visits for the doctor. And Eric, even though they're slowed down in most offices right now because patients just don't want to come in, that's picking back up already. We're seeing that already. Our licensees are saying, oh, it was slow there for the first 2 or 3 months, but now we're seeing that pick up. So folks, we'll get past this. It's just a matter of time. But the point is the doctors need a lot of help because their cash flow is way down.
Right. There's no doubt. I'm going to show this article here real quickly. You got up here why it might not be such a crazy idea to start a company right now.
Yeah, look, this was May 11th that this article
Right.
came out. And it says, let me get the first quote up here.
Yep, there you go.
Here we go. For many people, starting a company in the midst of a global economic crisis is the last thing on their lockdown to-do list. But it might not be such a crazy idea, this article says. According to entrepreneurs and startup investors CNBC spoke with, now might even be the best time to start thinking about setting up a new venture from home. And then it goes on to say that Luke Lang, the co-founder of equity crowdfunding platform Crowdcube, agrees. He thinks the virus outbreak could pave the way for new tech ventures focused on healthcare and medicine. Eric,
Right.
you'd think that we had written these articles. I mean, it doesn't get any more pertinent than these quotes that we're showing you here, folks. So let these articles sink in. Download the handout that's over in the handout section. It has all these slides in there. And even though those quotes that you see here on the screen are tiny, you at least can type those in if you want to find out exactly where we got these articles. And
Yeah.
they're all good. Yeah. So it's booming right now. Home-based businesses are booming. Here's an illustration that Eric found. New home-based businesses are created, 5 of them every minute in the United States. Every day, 7,855 new businesses start up. Eric, even if these numbers here are half right now,
Right.
that's still a lot of businesses opening up every month. When you say, let's
That's
see,
a
half
lot
of
of businesses.
238 be 116 or 18, something like that. That's a lot of businesses. So folks, again, now is the time to start thinking about it. And if you're looking at this business, we're going to show you why it's a good one to be in.
And everybody knows Dave Ramsey. Dave has, always is telling everybody, if you're working for somebody else, you're always kind of running back behind. But start a new home-based business, he says. And again, that's across the board. So what we've done so far in this first 10 minutes or so of the webinar is just kind of share with you that there are a lot of people thinking about starting new businesses and some of the things that you should and could be doing. And obviously this is another infographic kind of showing the same thing here. But Patrick, you alluded to just a while ago about healthcare, health industry, technology in that area. There is some of the that is where some of the greatest movements that are happening today now.
Yeah, this next article is talking about a recession coming. Some people say there may be a recession coming. Here's 10 reasons to start a company in a downturn. Now, folks, again, this one was from May 11th as well, from Forbes magazine. This one says, no one knows the ultimate economic impact of the coronavirus. However, it seems nearly everyone believes a global economic reset is upon us. That's scary, isn't it? The current 128-month expansion cycle of the U.S. economy is a record breaker, exceeding the 120-month 1991 through 2001 economic boom. However, if you're considering starting a business, keep in mind that economic downturns offer startups certain advantages. Now, we're not going to go into those. Again, get the handout, go to that link that you see at the bottom there, and actually read why this guy says there are reasons why startups have certain advantages right now in this kind of turn down. So, Eric, I think the big question in a lot of people's minds, it would be if I were looking at our webinars, would just be, first of all, this business that you're talking about, doing medical billing for doctors, hadn't that been around for 100 years? Well, actually, when my wife and I started back in the early 90s, that was the beginning of doctors beginning to outsource their billing to other people who were doing the billing, most of them working from their home.
Right.
They don't care nowadays, of course, that you're working from home. They expect that you probably are. So the question they would ask is the business real? That's what I would be asking about any business. So let's look at why we think that we can show people that it is real.
Yeah, you've got some articles here from Entrepreneur Magazine. They're always talking about medical billing. They've got an actual standalone book that talks about how to start your own medical billing claim service, a kind of step-by-step guide. I mean, people, you can go out there and go get that right now if you'd like to. And But you're going to find something in there that has some pretty good information even about American business systems.
Yeah, that book is on Amazon right now. You can order that for, it's about $20. It's a good overview of what the business is all about. I don't know if anybody could actually start a medical billing business with the book, but it's got a lot of good information. Look at this quote here. The market for medical claims billers is growing exponentially with legions of providers, that means doctors, and ever expanding patient pool. Healthcare industry spending is expected to grow by 5.8% each year through 2024. Eric, I think it's growing faster than that right now because, again, the baby boomer wave is moving in. Then it goes on to say by the healthcare spending, by the way, the healthcare spending will total that's supposed to say by then, by 2024. The healthcare spending will total 5.43 trillion and account for 19.6% of the gross domestic product. Think about that, folks. This industry that we're telling you should get involved in is almost 20% of the entire gross domestic product. That's the production here in the United States. In dollars, that's a lot.
That is quite a bit.
Yeah, so then it says, let there be no doubt, healthcare is big business and its growth shows no signs of slowing. This makes it the perfect time to start your own medical claims billing service. Anyway, check that book out. I have one here on my shelf. In fact, sometimes the people look at this background and they think, well, that's probably one of those automatic, fake backgrounds. But I actually have books on the shelf here I can pull off. You see, it's real. I would locate that one, but I can't find it right now. It's back there somewhere, though. All right, Eric, we talked about telehealth just a second ago. Let's talk about that a little more in detail.
We certainly did. And folks, again, this is where ABS is making a turn to some degree in not just doing just medical billing, but getting into what you would think of as healthcare technology and where things are going with telehealth. Now, obviously, during the coronavirus outbreak, you couldn't go to your doctor. You may not even be able to go to your doctor here anytime soon anyway. And telehealth is on the map now. But, obviously, if you haven't experienced it yet, this is where you and your doctor can have a visit over the internet through a secured portal. Now, there's a lot of doctors that are using Zoom. They're using maybe GoToMeeting. They're using all different types of services out there that are getting a little bit better whenever it comes down to HIPAA compliancy. But what you're wanting is a HIPAA compliancy platform, but not just a HIPAA compliancy platform, just to do your way in which you can kind of talk back and forth with your doctor. But where this whole thing is going now with telehealth, and it's going to places where no man's ever gone before. It's kind of like Star Trek. I know that you're a big Star Trek fan there, Patrick, but it's going beyond what we know of just these kind of telehealth visits. It's going into what we know as real, what's called virtual care medicine. That we know, Patrick, that virtual care medicine is really on the rise.
Yeah, and folks, it's not just on the telephone. Some of you probably had a conference with a doctor maybe over the telephone, but now with the technology we have available on our phones and our iPads and tablets and laptops, now you can actually visit with the doctor virtually and talk to him or her, and they can see you, you can see them, you can show them the scar on your neck or whatever you want to talk to them about. And Eric, I think there's an article that actually talks about telemedicine there as a revenue generator. Talk to us a little bit about why we're excited about telemedicine as a company, because our licensees now have a huge revenue that they can help the doctor generate.
Yep, you bet. And I'm going to share a screen here with you on that in just a second. But this article, folks, as you can see, it just came out, June the 15th, so just last week. When this doctor was interviewed by the Baker Hospital Review, and he says, that I think telemedicine is as a revenue generator as well as serving the community, especially as we advance in technology. He goes on to say, I think there is a great opportunity with the new technical advances that we have in imagery of terms of optics to look at things like specialty services with the right platform. telemedicine isn't just your iPhone or your smartphone. It can be a remote service that allows for better cameras and lighting. You can do things like dermatology and neurology and mental health, and these are big. This is big business now. And there are a lot of functions that expand the capacity of specialty services, not just primary care. So what are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about this idea, and it's not just an idea anymore. It's where doctors can just not only do virtual care medicine or e-visits now, they're actually doing virtual care management, whether it's remote patient monitoring, chronic care management, behavioral health integration, advanced care planning. All of this technology that you see right here on the screen right now, the patient doesn't really have to do anything. Like for the scale, for instance, the doctor could have a patient weigh every day because they want that patient on what's called remote patient monitoring. And the way the technology is, you don't have to have that hooked up to the internet anymore. This is all cellular devices. So you can see over there from the left-hand corner, which is the thing that you put in your ear to check your temperature. That's cellular. The scale is cellular. The glucose monitor is cellular. The blood pressure cuff is cellular. The oximeter pulse oximeter is all cellular. So the patient just has to put it on, do the reading, and it goes into our system that we have as one of our new services. So Patrick, you talk about leading in technology here. We're leading in technology here. There's no doubt.
And we actually introduced telehealth several years ago. It's built into our electronic medical record system in our patient portal. But we now also have a standalone telehealth system that can be sold to a doctor's office and installed, and they can start using it completely separate from our billing system. They don't have to be a client of yours for billing. But Eric, what we're finding is our licensees are introducing telehealth to the doctors. They get on that, they get hooked on it, and then they are open, of course, to talking to them about the billing. So it's a wonderful door opener into the world of billing, which is, of course, where some real money is. However, back to the revenue on this. I wish we had time on this webinar to go into that, but Eric, we can increase a doctor's revenue by what? $30,000, $40,000 a year.
Oh, more than that. We're talking $300,000 a year in revenue. Wow. Yeah. Wow. So it's 10 times that number there. So we're talking big dollars. And think if you're billing for that, you're getting a portion of that percentage there as well. And Patrick, right before we got on here, I was sharing with you that we're actually doing a webinar tomorrow. And this is one of the support mechanisms you have here at American Business Systems. Imagine that you've got subject matter experts who will get on with you as a licensee and do the walkthrough or the demo or a slide presentation to a group of people. And we're doing one with one of our licensees out of California tomorrow morning to an entire medical society, a county medical society, just on what we're doing here with telehealth through American Business Systems.
Yeah, and Eric, that's a good point. I'm going to touch on it a little bit later when we talk about all of our other services. I know we have an illustration that illustrates not just telehealth, but the other revenue generators for our licensees. And folks, basically, we make money on all of those services. So we're doing this as a service to you as one of our licensees at no cost, by the way, and yet we still make money when you sign up, doctors. So it's a win-win, for everybody. It's almost like we're in partnership together. Okay, Eric, let's talk about the advantages of home-based business because, man, at one time we were kind of making excuses for the fact that this is home-based, but hey, you can open an office if you want to. I don't think most of our licensees have opened an office. I know most of them haven't. A few have that grow this thing to where they need some help and they bring people in and so forth. But for $300 or $400 nowadays, you can buy a rental office if that's what you want. But look at all the advantages of a home-based business. Personal freedom, for example. It says it's an average of 348 hours a year just commuting to and from a job.
Right.
Oh, and then there's no bosses, no dress code, no set work hours, no office politics, and your refrigerator is only 15 feet away.
I love that. You bet. Well, I don't know. That could be good. It could be bad. I guess if you start getting really large, your doctor can remote patient monitor you, and you go step on the scale as you're going to the refrigerator.
Exactly.
See, it all works together. Here it is. I mean, you can It's kind of like what was the hair care hair for men, hair growth for men. The guy was not only a client, but he was the owner too, or something like that. So see, you could be billing for yourself going back and forth to the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But then there's increased opportunity. And Patrick, again, even though that we're talking about telehealth and some of these other things, we've actually added even a new service this last week to the ABS suites of services.
That's right. I forgot. Well, that's not even illustrated here in this.
It's not.
We got to add more boxes to this illustration, Eric, because every time we offer a new opportunity to our licensees for more revenue, of course, that means more money for us as a company as well. But it just continues to grow. Over the years, we've added all these different services. We don't have time today. If this is your first webinar, I'm sorry, we're not going to go into all these today, but you can find out more on our website, which is at the bottom of the screen there. Just go check that out, and you'll find out that there's lots of different things you can do for doctors.
Absolutely. And the other is that it's a little bit less risk than franchises. I mean, when you open up a franchise, there's a lot of money that you're putting in. I mean, obviously, we know that there is a money that you're investing here with American Business Systems, which is just under $30,000, but you're not spending $300,000 on a location, building, permits, licenses, a lot of different things that you would. So it's a little bit less risk, a lot less risk than a lot of franchises.
Yeah, there's no employees, there's no inventory. Like you said, there's no physical building you've got to pay for. So folks, the risk in a franchise is much, much greater because there's more investment in it. Most of them are successful, but Eric, I drive by shut down franchises all the time. We just saw Wendy's close just here recently here in Keller, Texas, where I live. So how does that happen? I don't know how that even happens unless it's really just.
I don't know. That is flat out amazing that there are some franchises that actually do shut down. But again, working for yourself, you can start writing some other things off too to kind of keep your taxes down.
Yeah. Everything in your life right now that you're spending money on, folks, is tax deductible.
Right.
If you're a business owner. Look at this list of things. There's all kinds of stuff. This book goes into detail about that. You can find that on Amazon, by the way. We're not selling this book, but we're just telling you that there's some real advantages to being in business for yourself. And then, of course, the other things are more time for your family. Everybody wants that unless you don't like your family, and then maybe there's a good reason to go to a job each day. And less stress. If your child gets sick, you don't have to worry about that, taking off work and so forth. You can just be there with them and take care of them and still run your business at the same time.
Yeah, you bet. Or your wife or your dog or whatever else that you're going to be taking care of there.
Yeah.
Maybe just yourself, who knows? But the opportunities for professional growth is huge when you start working for yourself, because again, not only that, you're able to network with other business owners. Hopefully when the pandemic and all this kind of starts slowing down, you can maybe get to your chamber of commerces or whatever. But there's a lot of chamber of commerces and a lot of networking groups that are still meeting online. So there's still, I mean, let me tell you this, there's a lot of people who are trying to market their business that are just like you, trying to market your business. And people are becoming very creative, Patrick, on how they are marketing, and finding new ways to market, even though there's a pandemic going on.
Well, and there's all kinds of things you can do. When you own your own business, of course, you can work 24 hours a day if you wanted to, I guess, without sleeping.
Right.
But there's all kinds of things you can involve yourself in online for your own professional growth. Maybe you want to get a degree. Maybe you want to learn more about coding if that's something that you're interested in. You can do that when you have your own business. With the internet, Eric, the whole world is open for professional growth. And someday I'm going to read all these books back here.
you bought them at Goodwill. You might as well read them.
Exactly.
Oh no, but there's great increase for productivity. Patrick, you and I both know that we probably work harder being at home than we do if we were going to a building.
I tell people, Eric, if you would just put in as much time as you do right now for your employer in your own business, you could double your income easily.
Yeah,
And then there's a creative outlet. Boy, we come up with all kinds of stuff, Eric, just because we have the tools now online to be able to create things like these slides that you're seeing, folks. We provide slide decks to our licensees that we've created. As you can see, we kind of know what we're doing here when it comes to these
right.
things.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely.
have the ability to come up with that stuff because again, we own our own business just like you'll own yours.
Now, we're at the bottom of the hour. We've got about 29 more minutes, folks. So just letting you know that. And I'm kind of
Eric,
monitoring over the question box. So I just
yeah,
thought I'd let everybody remind everybody that we're kind of monitoring the question box. So if there's a specific question that you have, you want us to be able to address, we'd be certainly more than happy to be able to do that.
Eric, did that poll pop up for you? Do you see that when I pop that up?
I do. Yep, I'm seeing it up
Well,
in.
I just want to know why people are here today. I
Oh,
thought,
good. Let's do that.
let's just ask the question, why is it that you are actually attending this webinar? And this is just to get you away from those, cat videos that you're watching right now instead of watching us, hopefully. But look, I can see that people are answering that right now, Eric. I'm going to leave
Yeah.
this up here for another 10 seconds, and then we'll show the results of it. But Eric, the reason I asked this is because I want people to focus on why is it that you're really spending the time to listen to me and Eric today? Why is it that you were here last week or the week before? Maybe you've been
Right.
on several of these webinars. So let's close that poll, and then I'll throw the results up here. Let's see what people have said. Look, there you go. Most of them think healthcare has a good, solid future to it. And nobody ran out of cat videos. That means they're probably back to watching them right now.
Oh boy.
Uh,
I've my grandkids have shown me a few of those, so they are kind of funny. So we want to continue to keep talking about some of the advantages, but now some of the advantages that are actually in healthcare. Now we've kind of talked to you a little bit about that already on the telehealth side of it, and that's just because that's one of our really newest ones that we're kind of driving some of our licensees to. But one of the advantages, again, we've already talked about franchises, but there are no franchise fees, Patrick. People always want to know, what other fees do I have to pay for after I pay, my licensing fee?
Yeah, Eric mentioned earlier that the investment to get into our business, to go through our training, to have our support, to use all of our marketing materials and so forth is about $28,000. We say under 30 because you might spend a little bit more maybe for some, stuff that you need for your business. But the point is that for under 30,000 folks, that is a bargain in today's world. Now, that's because we've proven, and we'll show you here in just a minute, that you could make a whole lot more than that with just one client doing billing for one doctor. But remember, we make money on the back end as well. And so that's why we try to keep our franchise, I call it a franchise fee. It's really just a licensing fee. Now, don't let that throw you. All that means is you're licensing the right to use our system. But the point is there's no ongoing fees after that, none whatsoever. There's no royalties. Like in a franchise, you have to pay 5 to 8% off of your gross revenue every month. Eric, that would just kill me to write those checks right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there are no territory restrictions. I mean, you're completely wide open to market in any of the states here, both that are obviously the continuous states and those that are cross on the big area that way. So, and actually Puerto Rico too. There's actually some billing being done on just even states and territories.
Yeah, if you ask some of our we call them licensees, but they're business owners, right? They started their own business. They graduated from our training and have started their business. If you ask some of those people, and we'll give you a list of those if you ask for them, you can call them up and ask them, where are your clients? And some of them will tell you that they have clients in several states all over the United States, because once you start doing medical billing for doctors, folks, it doesn't matter what state the doctor's in. There's no special rules or regulations or licensing for those states. You can bill in all 50 states.
Right. Muhammad's asking or saying, Muhammad's mentioned that he's looking for a business that could be expandable, and this is obviously one of them. You can expand not only in the different services, whether it's, as you'll see here, that we do more than just the billing side of it, but you can expand it in other states there. So you can scale this business to whatever size that fits you, and the people that you want to hire and bring on. You've got a lot of flexibility there. And talk about flexibility, these are all the different types of doctors that you could actually bill for. Anybody that's in healthcare practically, you can do some billing for it. Now, I'll exclude a little bit of that because a lot of people think that dentistry is medical. Dentistry is not medical. Medical and dentistry, they seem to be doing the same thing because they're working on the body, but dentistry billing and medical billing are really two separate types of billing.
Yes, that's right. And that's why we don't encourage people to do that. Now, if people want to do dental billing, we can get them into dental billing. But I tell people, look, you sign up all the medical doctors in your area first, because that's where the big money is. There's not as much billing done for dentists. Dentists don't see as many patients. There's just no money there. It's a waste of time.
Right.
But we can get you into it if you want to after you've gotten your business started for medical billing. Now, no ongoing fees. I mentioned that earlier, Eric. Basically, that means, folks, once you've paid that initial fee to us of $28,000, there are no ongoing fees. You never pay another dime to ABS as a company. And that means for training, for support, all of that goes away. No user seats, no upgrade fees on the software. It's all inclusive, a one-time licensing fee.
Right. I'm trying to answer some questions here, so I'm just letting some folks here kind of get to know, what they might need to do next. Patrick, I mean, we've got some software that runs our medical billing platform and EMR, and it's got everything. And like you said, there's absolutely no additional cost for keeping up with updates and with anything through here.
Yeah, basically, folks, if you have a connection to the internet and a browser, any browser, you can get into our medical billing system online. It's an online software as a service, they call it, SOS, meaning you're just logging into our system with your credentials that we give you, and boom, you're there. You're actually using it online, just like you would if you were doing online banking, for example.
Yeah, and then Brian's asking, he's hoping we're getting some information on what type of medical billing we could be doing, and that's kind of where we're going here, Brian. So we're going to talk with you a little bit about that, and if there's a specific question you have about medical billing and maybe some more information, even after we get through some of these slides that we didn't answer your question, feel free to pop back in there. But we try to, when we do these webinars, we try to keep with a topic theme, and sometimes your question may be answered in a different webinar topic theme. So, but feel free to ask a question and we'll see what we can do. Now we're talking about potential earnings, Patrick. I mean, because that's what we have to do. We can't say we're going to guarantee that you can make this amount of money, but basically and typically, if someone's doing billing for one doctor, we can kind of project what kind of money that they are going to be able to make.
Yeah, and folks, we get these numbers, by the way, from our existing licensees. Our business owners that are out there actually running this business have given us feedback on these numbers. For example, on our website at absystems.com, you can go to our income calculator and plug in some numbers. Now, we've plugged some in here for this illustration. Basically, you just pick the number of doctors that you'd like to have as clients. I use 5 because it's a handful, right? And it's really kind of the average, when you say, Eric, of a lot of our licensees. Now, we've had licensees get to the point where they have literally over 100 clients. So keep that in mind as we show you these numbers based on 5 doctors. Then the average number of patients that doctor would see each day would be about 20. The average number of days the office is open, we're just going to assume they're open every day. And then we are showing that you could charge 7%. Now, Eric, we've seen licensees charge 8, 9, and 10% even, but some average out there is probably 7, and then the average claim amount of about $150. So let's see what that turns into when we hit the submit button. Basically, you would have a gross income of that $273,000.
Yeah, that's it. $22,000 a month, almost $23,000 a month in income.
Right. So when people ask, well, what am I getting for the $28,000? Well, we give you a lot of marketing materials. We give you access to our online licensee support site that has over 100 hours of further training. We give you the 8 sessions with a live instructor. There's lots of stuff that you get, but here's what you're getting for your 28,000, folks, and that's the ability to earn this kind of money from just 5 doctors. That's over $100,000 a year. That's $273,000 a year from 5 doctors. So that's what you're getting. You're getting an opportunity to earn money in your own home-based business. So don't think about stuff, because we've got the stuff, and it's called a system, which allows you to earn money.
You bet. And again, I'm going to try to go back to Brian's question here about getting more information on what type of medical billing we would be doing. And if I hear the word correctly, you said type. The type of billing you can do is, obviously you can do billing for any of the specialties. So cardiology, let's see, the surgeons, gosh, Patrick, neurology. I mean, there's just, we had this big old list. I'm gonna put that list back up over here just real quickly. Let me see if I can get to it for you.
So Brian, if you're asking what type of billing, well, it's billing for all doctors that are currently billing on what's called the 1500 form. It's a special form that the government came up with. And all of these that you see on the screen, I know these are hard to read, but if you'll download your handout, you'll be able to see them up close. Every specialty that's out there is billing on that. So that's the type of billing you'll be doing for every specialty that's out there.
Absolutely. And then Boris is asking the question, you know, how do we get clients and what are the day-to-day activities? Again, Boris, on that, Patrick, whenever we get to that part on the slides about showing about the YouTube channel, we can talk about where they can go find topics of what we do, when you can do when you find out what you do on a day-to-day basis. We've got some webinars specifically for that too as well.
Yeah, well, we got several questions about, do you guys provide leads for us, or is this cold calling sales? How are we meeting the clients? Christopher's asking, and Brian's asking, how are we meeting the clients? So folks, again, let's talk about that. First of all, when you're trained and certified as a medical revenue manager, that includes teaching you how to get clients. Right. That's what we're specialties at. We've been doing this for 26 years, and that's what we're good at, is teaching people how to get clients. It's not just doing the physical billing using our software, for example. You're taught that, but part of our training, a good portion of it, is on how to get clients. We've got about a dozen different ways that we teach you to go out and market to the clients. And so when we talk about the revenue cycle management, Eric, talk about the revenue cycle there illustrated in that flyer.
Yeah, what we're talking about here is what, you know, when you're talking about medical billing, a lot of people think, well, all I got to do is take whatever the doctor gives me, and that is supposedly a claim, and I got to put it into a software, and I've done medical billing. Well, we're not teaching you or training you how to become just a medical biller, but a revenue cycle management manager. Because what you're doing, you're looking at everything from marketing with the doctor to checking their receivables, checking coding. You're going, oh my gosh, now I'm freaking out because I don't know anything about medical codes. That's all part of the services that we have. We have CodeWrite and Audit Guard, which will help you with coding, but then with payment options, we've got some payment option services that you can help the doctor collect more money. So you're going to look at and do what's called a practice analysis with that doctor to discover what their greatest need is. Now, we're like you've already heard us talk about, we're adding newer services for you to be able to go out there and have these dialogues with these doctors. So if you're asking the question, will I have somewhat of a dialogue with these doctors? Yes, you're going to need to talk with them, because you're going to need to figure out what you can do for them to help them grow their business. So think of yourself as a medical revenue consultant, and then you're going to get paid for doing either the management of the revenue or the processing of claims and watching all of that go through. There's a lot there that you can help that doctor with.
Yeah, Boris mentioned in one of his questions, second part of one of his questions was what are the day-to-day activities? Boris, again, in this webinar, time-wise, we don't have time to go into the day-to-day, but let me encourage you to get back with the person who invited you to this webinar and ask them
Right.
for a list of owners that you can call and speak with. They're all across the country, and we have licensees who've volunteered to take calls from you, and just ask them, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? You'll see most of them are doing if they're still looking for new clients, of course, they're doing some part of their day, sending out books, letters, postcards, things like that, doing some marketing. And the other part, of course, is actually processing the claims and using our software to do that. Now, since the internet's open 24/7, they can do that at 2 a.m. in the morning if they want to. But Eric, talk about this built-in clearinghouse and what a clearinghouse is to show people the difference between us and any other companies that are out there.
Well, what's illustrated right now is typical systems that have a billing software, and then they've got to connect that software to a third-party clearinghouse, which that clearinghouse is then tapped into these insurance companies. Our system is 100% integrated, which means that the doctors can see their patients, use what you're seeing there on the screen, which is the electronic medical records, which goes directly into our iClaim system platform. Then from there it goes, we already, in our billing system, we already have a built-in clearinghouse, which allows us to ship those claims directly to the insurance companies. So with that, there is a greater way in which we can get those claims paid, the speed in which we get those claims paid, and then the security that we have based upon that we're keeping everything internally. So we're not, taking information from one EMR system to put it into a billing system just to ship it out to a third-party outsourcing clearinghouse, and then it goes out to the insurance companies. We're able to see claims like you can see right here, manage these claims right directly in our system, and then get those right out the door directly to the insurance companies. So Patrick, that's an advantage that many of them, what I would suggest that are on the call today, on the webinar today, get back with the person that invited you to the webinar and ask them to do a demonstration of the software, because they're going to lead you through a brief demonstration, as I'm kind of just showing you right here through these screenshots of you're going to see exactly how a claim gets processed, where it goes next, and then how it actually from there actually gets to the insurance companies. It's pretty impressive of how everything kind of goes from one thing to the next, but everything internally.
Now, folks, we have done webinars, and you can find those on our YouTube channel, which I'll point you to here in just a minute. But we've done webinars specifically on marketing, how we teach you how to get clients. So I know that's a big question in everybody's mind. But folks, look at the screen right now. Look at the slide that we have up there. We have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars developing professionally designed marketing materials that allow you to market to the doctors. One of those that you see on the screen there, we're going to talk about in a little more detail here in just a second, but let's just cover these. There's flyers, as you can see, they all look coherent. They look like they're designed like a franchise, so you don't have to come up with your own marketing flyers. Then there's postcards. We have an online postcard system that allows you to send out color postcards to the doctors, and we have a whole campaign, several campaigns that we've designed that are already set up for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and here's what Patrick's talking about here. We've already got built-in pre-made cards for you ready to send out that you can do in what you think you're thinking, well, maybe I'm a little intimidated going and seeing doctors right now. Well, what about just sending them postcards and kind of just dropping some information there? And then we're going to show you one other thing that you can send out that's been a huge success with some of our licensees.
Yeah, in fact, I think I have one of those books right here. I'm going to show this when I talk to you about the book. Folks, I've actually written a book with a doctor, Dr. Vicki Rackner. This is called The New Thriving Medical Practice, How to Get Off the Hamster Wheel, Work Smarter, Not Harder, Generate More Revenue, and Enjoy Greater Career Satisfaction in the Post-Obamacare Era. This is a tremendous book that doctors are reading. Literally, Eric, 2 weeks ago, I interviewed a fellow who actually said he had sent these in the mail with a personal note And you can see that he's actually highlighted some passages and put little sticky tabs here when he gives it to a doctor. In this case, he mailed it to these doctors, and all three of them have called him up and wanted a meeting with him. I guess they don't have anything else to do right now but read books in their office because there's less patients coming in. But folks, notice that we put your name on the bottom there. Here's let me hold that up to the camera where you can see this. You can see that that has a forward there by Susan Smith, in this case, a fake name we use there. But folks, that's because you can be the person who writes we're going to teach you how to write the forward for this, or you can use one we've already gotten written. And so your name is right there on the cover of the book with a doctor. You see Dr. Vicki Rackner there. And folks, the credibility that this builds is just huge. You just can't imagine. Right. So be sure and get back with the person who sent you to this webinar and ask them more about that book, and you'll find out that that's been a tremendous way to get in front of doctors.
You bet, yeah. And you heard me earlier talk about practice analysis or practice analysis questionnaire. We've got all the questions that you need to ask a doctor when you start to get engaged with them, and they say, yeah, let's kind of talk about my billing. Folks, doctors are hurting right now. We in the last few weeks, we shared some articles, some news articles where doctors are actually closing their doors because they weren't financially prepared for something like a pandemic. And you go, well, gosh, why would I want to get involved in medical billing right now whenever doctors are closing their doors? This is the best time because you could possibly help some of these doctors not to close. You got to think about it this way. Think about you helping your neighbor. And one of the ways that you're helping your neighbor is to keep your healthcare community strong, financially strong. So when you start to think about it, you start to go outside of the scope of going, gosh, I want to get into business. Oh, I might get into healthcare. I want to get into healthcare, maybe do medical billing. But when you start to think of it as your neighbor, making sure that they are taken care of, because the doctor's finances are taken care of, how truly you're actually helping your entire community. So it goes far beyond that. But part of all the marketing materials that we have all of the solutions that you're going to need to make your presentations and make them professional. Patrick, again, this is all part of the marketing campaign where people are asking, how do I go get these doctors? We have everything covered for you, and it's all covered in our training.
Yep. And then live demos. Now, folks, I don't know of any company that does this. Remember, we make money when you make money. And so the reason we do this at no cost to you, we will do live demos for your prospective clients. In other words, you get a doctor who you've asked those questions from the practice analysis you just saw. You come back to the office, we help you prepare a proposal to take back to the doctor. And one of the things you do is set up a live demo so that they can actually see and ask questions about the system that you're going to use to help them with their cash flow. So we get online, you can be on there at the same time. We're actually presenting this to the doctor while you're there watching and listening as well. And you hear all the questions the doctor asks. We answer all those questions for you. Eric, we're closing about half of all the doctors who see these demos get involved with our licensees. So why not just set up as many demos as you can and let us help you get as many clients as you want. So to answer your question, folks, we basically do all the quote selling for you on these live demos that we do one-on-one with your prospects.
And Patrick, I mean, I know a lot of people are obviously concerned about marketing, or are they going to be able to say the right things, especially when they come out of training? I want to reiterate something. It may have gone over everybody's head earlier whenever I talked about this. We are doing a webinar tomorrow morning for a licensee with a group of doctors in a medical society. Now, the licensee's not doing the webinar. We are doing the webinar.
Right. Now,
so we're doing webinars for you to help you build your business.
Right. The licensee, got the meeting with the people, set it up, and then we just do the webinar for them and answer all their questions. And the licensee is just there to basically sign up as many of those doctors that are interested in that service as possible. So, folks, again,
Patrick, I hate to step over you. I want to challenge anybody. If they're looking at any other business that has to do with medical billing, Some of you may know who I'm talking about. Ask them if they will do a webinar for you.
Right.
Ask them if they'll do demonstrations for you as much as we do. You know,
Right.
and then you're going to find out here in a little bit. Ask them if they have a money back guarantee. Patrick will talk with you about that. You're going to find out that we are going far beyond what you're investing into yourselves. We are truly here to help you build your business.
Yep. Now, folks, one of the things you have access to is our licensee support site. This is a private website we set up several years back for our licensees, and there's over 300 business documents that you can download there. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with attorneys developing those documents, over 100 hours of in-depth training beyond the 8 sessions that you have with a live instructor. Interviews with successful owners are actually on that site that you can watch. Weekly industry updates, ongoing training webinars. Eric, like you said, we're doing one tomorrow for our licensees.
Right.
Here, and besides the one you're doing for the one licensee, we're doing one for all of our licensees tomorrow. Access to a physician partner. You're going to have the ability to partner with Dr. Vicki Ragnar, who wrote the book that I showed you earlier, and then personalized books that are by Dr. Vicki Ragnar that you have your name on. Folks, again, I don't know if any company has this type of help in helping you to build a successful business. And then if you go through those training sessions and don't like them, as Eric said, we're the only company that I know of that offers 100% money back guarantee. Now, if some company that you're talking to does not offer a money back guarantee, ask them why.
Yeah.
Just ask them why and let them squirm. Because if they're not convinced that they have something that's good for you, we let you go through all of our training sessions. And then at the end of it, if you go, you know, this isn't what I thought it was, I want my money back, you get your money back. We've done that several times over the years, just a handful of times, but it does happen. And that's because we don't want your money up front if you're not going to build a business. And if for some reason you don't like it, or your wife or spouse talks you out of it, that's fine. We'll give you money back and wish you the best.
Well, Patrick, we're 2 minutes before we got to bail out of here, and we've gone through an entire hour. Hopefully, folks, you've gotten a lot of information. We tried to answer as many questions in the middle of the webinar as we could, but we want to spend the rest of this time to kind of give you what your next steps are and then what's ahead for you for next week's webinar. Patrick, you had mentioned Dr. Ragnar. You're interviewing her next Wednesday.
Yeah, and she's going to address this question directly, why doctors need your help during this healthcare crisis. Folks, Dr. Ragnar was in practice for many, many years as a general surgeon, and she really feels for doctors right now. Eric, she almost was in tears. I was talking to her just yesterday on the phone about this webinar, and she said, Patrick, I just feel for these doctors out there. Some of them are really hurting. Your licensees have got to get out there and sign up as many of those doctors as they can and help them with the crisis they're going through right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So Patrick, let's talk about next steps and then we'll get this thing wrapped up here.
Yeah, there's just 5 things you need to do if you're ready to get started in this business. We know you have a lot of due diligence to do, but look, this is part of it. Look over our downloadable research guide. Now, I'm going to give you a phone number here in just a moment of somebody that you can call. Eric, you might want to create that last slide. I forgot about that.
Okay.
Phone number and email address, info@absystems.com. But the point is that you get that research guide. It's over 50 pages PDF that you can download that has much more information than we can possibly give you in these webinars or on our website. Then step number 2 is basically just go down to our YouTube channel.
Yeah. YouTube channel.
And there, he's going to put it up there in just a second. It's youtube.com/whyabs. Folks, on that site, you'll find all the past webinars we've done, some of them specifically on how we help you get clients, and many, many other topics, including interviews that I've done with other licensees. Then ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. Like I said earlier, this is the names and phone numbers of people that you can call that have been through our training and that are willing to take phone calls from somebody like yourself who's looking into the business. Ask them all the questions you want. We don't tell them what to say. You can go visit some of them if they'll let you come to their offices if they got an office. Then ask for a live demo. Just like we showed you earlier, we'll do a demo for you one-on-one of our iClaim EMRX platform. Since it's cloud-based, we can't send you a DVD in the mail.
Right.
We'll get online and show it to you step by step and let you ask all the questions you want. And then last but not least, reserve your spot for your first live online training session. Now, folks, we say that because these trainings are actually done with a live instructor. This is somebody who actually is running this business themselves, and they've had many, many years of experience in knowing how to build a business. You'll be online with them over the internet, talking with them. You can turn on your webcams if you want to and speak with this person. And there's nobody else on there but you, unless you invite, a spouse or partner, which you're welcome to do as well. Get that reserved as soon as you can, even though you're still putting your funding together and doing your due diligence, because those spots fill up fast. It's first come, first serve. There's the phone number right there, folks. Just give it a call. If you're not sure who your ABS rep is, you can call that number right now and just ask. I don't know who my rep is. Who do I get in touch with? And we'll give you their name and email address.
There you go. All right, Patrick, I think we ended right on time here. I'm going to put up, I guess we can leave that slide up there.
Yeah.
But folks, let's see if there's any last minute questions that we can maybe work for you and get your questions answered. But if you look over there, obviously over in the chat area or your question box area, I've already put the link up there for next Wednesday's webinar. So you can go ahead and pre-register and get registered now. If you're like me, Patrick and I were talking about, we cannot believe today was Wednesday. I feel like we just did a webinar 2 days ago. So
Yeah.
don't wait until the last minute. Go, oh, I should have registered for that webinar. Go ahead and do that right now. Patrick, let's see if there's any last minute questions here that we can have. Brian says, thank you for your time. That was the last one I see down there.
Autumn is asking if you have to be certified, and then she uses all sorts of acronyms that I'd have to Google to find out what she's talking about, because I don't keep up with all this stuff. But Autumn, the point is, you're asking if you have to have credentialing from other organizations. No, there is no credentialing needed other than what we give you at the end of your live training session. That's because we have another, a lot of information on our website that you'll be able to get to. We have homework that you do and so forth. It's a very involved training, but the good thing is that the sooner you get started, the sooner you can get through it. You can complete it actually in less than 30 days if you want to, but you don't need any other credentials besides what we give you.
All right, Misty's got a very long question. I'm going to shorten it up a little bit and answer her question. She's asking, she understands that she and her company will do the billing, but was asking, does American Business Systems, do we do any denial management? Now, we don't do any of your billing. So we don't outsource any of our billing. You are an independent medical billing company. So if you choose to outsource any of your denial management, you can feel free to do that. A lot of our licensees do all of their own denial management in-house. So that's the better way to be able to do that. So hopefully, Misty, that kind of helped answer your question. Mohammed's asking, can you get a recording of this web session? Yes, we've got it recorded, and it'll be up on up there pretty soon. Great. Misty says,
Boris,
awesome. we answered the question.
Boris says, I have some accounting background, and for a company to change their accounting software is a massive task, hard to do. So how hard is it for doctors' offices to switch to our software? Well, Boris, again, I encourage you to call some of our owners out there and ask them, how hard was it for their clients to switch to our software? It's not as difficult as you think it is, because our software can import a lot of the data that's already in their current software.
Right. Patrick,
and Chris.
Oh, Chris, do I need to set up my own LLC? It might be good for you to do that.
Yes, we'll teach you that as part of our training, Chris, if you don't know how to do that, but he's asking if you set up your own corporation, basically, and yes, you can do that. Okay, well, thanks for putting all this together, Eric. I thought that was a lot of information we tried to spit out there in an hour's time.
We got a lot of it in there. We certainly did. So, Patrick, thank you for your time. Everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Wednesday on the webinar with Dr. Rackner.
Yep.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye for now.